The red pill awakening is an epiphany that attunes one's perception to the archetypal dichotomy of freedom versus slavery. At the cultural level, taking the red pill is an awakening to the integrated systems of control and parasitism within the structure of civilization. It is an awakening to the ubiquitous prevalence of evil in humanity, sourced in both conscious sociopathic agency and unconscious groupthink. Those who consider themselves red-pilled, a term originating from the 1999 film The Matrix, take on the burden of grappling with and often combating integrated corruption in the world. There are currently many tens of millions of Westerners who describe themselves as red-pilled and align with the ideas and motifs that come with the use of the term. The red-pilled individual has put on the glasses, as analogized in John Carpenter's 1988 film They Live, and therefore sees the shadow side of reality that was always there but held back from consciousness by cognitive dissonance. The red-pilled individual has become highly attuned to the fact that modern societies have a tendency to fall into totalitarianism, and they are on the lookout for those signs and the machinations of those who most benefit from mass mind control. Naturally, they align their thinking with fictional accounts such as George Orwell's 1984, Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, and other dystopic fiction. In 1962, Huxley spoke at UC Berkeley, where he described the exact state of affairs that the red-pilled individual is attuned to. Quote, "It seems to me that the nature of the ultimate revolution with which we are now faced is precisely this: that we are in the process of developing a whole series of techniques which will enable the controlling oligarchy, who have always existed and presumably will always exist, to get people to love their servitude." End quote. The members of the red-pilled countercultural movement are usually deemed conspiracy theorists or political extremists by those who are invested in the continuation of status quo paradigms, the blue-pilled, which the red-pilled individual considers to be anathema to their freedom to live and think on their own terms. The red-pilled counterculture often aligns with Enlightenment values and all philosophy that places human individuality and free will at the pinnacle of societal ethics. Red-pilled individuals speak of awakening and waking up to the matrix of mind control, Huxley's controlling oligarchy, and civilizational parasitism in every form. In the West, the anti-establishment counterculture of the 1960s encapsulated many of the values of freedom and autonomy that make up the current-day red-pilled mindset. But today, these Enlightenment values are more often considered conservative or right of center, while the political left that once stood for these values has moved into alignment with establishment groupthink through the vehicle of so-called progressivism and the values of, quote, equity. Within progressivism exists a counterfeit of the red-pilled viewpoint in the philosophy of so-called wokeism, which frames the roots of human social control in terms of race and patriarchy. The term woke itself is slang for awakened. But to the red-pilled observer, wokeism is an artificial, life-consuming mind virus that only further distracts, infantilizes, and possesses the individual who adopts it as a personal belief system. Wokeism, in this view, blocks one from awakening to the actual sources of civilizational parasitism, which the red-pilled observer believes emanate from a continual intergenerational culture of elites who are aligned by a Malthusian, feudal mindset that crosses race, gender, and political boundaries, aka the globalists, the New World Order, technocracy, etc. For the red-pilled individual, sourcing ubiquitous evil in civilization is a primary activity and often results in a religious or spiritual solution, such as the devil, demonic possession, etc., due to the perennial difficulty of sourcing human evil. This writer's intuition is that the red pill initiation prepares the individual mentally and emotionally for an even deeper investigation of evil and human pathology in the direction of the shadow of the psyche, as described by Carl Jung. Mitigating structural evil, therefore, would come as a natural consequence of conscious shadow work and psychospiritual development work pursued at the individual level.